Trinidad, if you do get that waiver, would you anticipate if it's college being at Ole Miss, or would you have to consider everything because that's part of it? It's all year to year. So what would be your considerations in that way?
Yeah, no, definitely. You hit it right on the nail. I would have to consider like what the best situation is for me, what I feel most comfortable with, who I trust the most, and just get a feel for, every possibility really. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Interesting. Give me your best. Let's go. It's a great day to be an LSU Tiger fan. I don't care how you feel about the 6-7 trend. It was so lit in the BMAC earlier today. I wish I was there. Love seeing all the kiddos getting to watch the LSU Tigers, and it's always great to have an LSU Tiger victory. Leading in to the question that I want you to answer. I'm looking at you. We'll get to the chat in just a second. Do you want Trinidad Chambliss to be your quarterback next year if he is indeed granted the waiver that everybody is waiting to hear about? And it's interesting that this is kind of taking a life on its own. And I was right about something. I was also wrong about something regarding the Ole Miss locker room and how Lane departed. We'll get to that. And I think we're doing a massive disservice to 5 LSU Tigers that are currently on the team. We're going to get to all of that today. Once again, please hit that like, subscribe, and share. And a little bit later, the best person covering LSU football on a daily basis to me is Preston Guy. There's plenty of good ones out there. He will join us at 6:30. Okay, so I want to start with Chambliss. I think he's great. I mean, you have to remember this. And this is tying in our last couple of live streams into this one. Trinidad Chambliss threw for more yards than Fernando Mendoza. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he was better than Mendoza, but in many ways he was. And you got to factor in the rushing stats. You also got to factor in he played 3 fewer games. And look, the truth is simple. He's good. And with that quote that you heard at the beginning of this live stream, he is open to whichever opportunity gives him the best chance to succeed. Now, would he stay at Ole Miss? Would he go to LSU? I don't know. That's his decision to make. But the truth is, who does he owe more of his success to? Does he owe it to Lane Kiffin and the system that made him into the quarterback that he is? Or does he owe more to the Ole Miss Rebels where he's only been there for a season? So there are 2 things when it comes to Chambliss and this potential reunion. The first is, will he actually come to LSU? I think he would. The second thing, though, is do I think he is the best quarterback for LSU in the transfer portal? Because this is the season where there is so much quarterback transfer portal talent, including a few guys out there that could give you 2 years. With Chambliss, you're getting no more than 1. But the truth is, I do think Chambliss is the best quarterback for LSU available. And I do get this quite a bit from Hanville. And I also want to shout out DB. Called me a minute ago. I won't say where you called me from, or I called you. I want to say thank you for trying to help me out to fix the corrupted file on my DJ Langway film study. I was able to fix it, and it should be released. I'm aiming for Sunday night. How about that? Okay. So for me, I get this quite a bit, that there are many of you that don't want just a one-year stopgap quarterback. You want a quarterback that'll have 1 year of experience and then will really aim for that championship in the very next season. But the truth is, that's just not how college football works. College football, whether you like it or not, with the rules that are currently set in place, is a year-to-year sport. I shared this in the Discord. It's something that made a lot of people uncomfortable today. But Jordan Mailata, the star quarterback for USC, signed a contract today, and it was framed just how NFL teams announce contract signings. And I won't show it on the screen because it's not relevant to this discussion, but it is relevant to this discussion in that every single team is now looking at college football like a business. And it's always been that way, but now it is strictly business. It is a year-to-year type of situation where you are signing extensions. You see Pete Nakos, you see some of the other college football insiders use that word extension, the same thing that is used in professional football, right? Extensions used to just be pro sports and hairstylists, but now it's to college football. If you sign an extension, that means a good thing for your team. That means you're re-signing a player that you thought was good from the year before. And even Dabo Swinney, Mr. Anti-Transfer Portal, got caught up in this mess. He said that we're not going to make any decisions before the end of the season is over. Well, what happened? Clemson re-signed their best defensive end, or at least the best defensive end that'll be coming back next year, Will Helt. It was announced Will Helt and his agency has re-signed an extension with Clemson. It is strictly business, and that's why it's important, especially now in college football. It used to be that most of the players love the university and would die with the university as much as the fans love and die with the university. But now, Trinidad Chambliss could still love Ole Miss more than he loves LSU and still come to LSU because it is a strictly business decision. It's just how it works. I have had players on this very channel say, hey, Carter, I love LSU. I grew up wanting to play for LSU. But the opportunity for me right now is not at this university, and I've got to do what's best for me. And with players having the freedom to do what they have to do, the simple truth is Ole Miss fans that have attacked me on TikTok and on Twitter just for making a simple edit that only glorified Trinidad Chambliss this weekend, I got my mentions attacked by the masses saying, hey, Trinidad's not coming to Baton Rouge. Trinidad's not going to do this, that, or the third. And I wasn't even talking about Trinidad going to LSU in the TikTok, but Chambliss opens up the door thanks to that question from last night, and we discussed it last night. But the truth is, for me, on two different fronts, Trinidad leaves open the door that LSU could go get him if he's given an extra year of eligibility, which we don't know about yet. And at the same time, I think, in my professional opinion, and it's weird to call myself a professional, but this is what I do for a living, I think he's the best option for LSU in 2026. Now, we've got a juicy story. We have got a juicy story. This is juicier than a Raoul's Burger. This is juicier than a J Remix. This is juicy. Juicy for the you-know-what. We'll talk about Marshall Faulk coming up in just a moment. He had an interesting quote with this interview with the PHL icon, and we'll get to that in just a second. Let's go to some capital J journalism. This is via Bleacher Report, but this isn't just Bleacher Report. This is actual journalism done by The Athletic, and I'm an Athletic subscriber. So I'm just clipping this. You can go read the full story at The Athletic. But there was two reporters, Joe Rexrode and Christopher Camrani, who released a deep dive on the Lane Kiffin departure. Now, this was very predictable, okay? The Ole Miss reporters are like, hey, there was a lot of inaccuracies in this article. And I haven't read the full article. I'll be honest. But I'm just clipping what the big thing was from it. A majority of the members from Ole Miss's Player Leadership Council were in favor of keeping head coach Lane Kiffin through the college football playoff, according to The Athletics, Rexrode and Camrani. They reported the vote was 9 players voting in favor of keeping Lane Kiffin till the bitter end, and 3 players voting against it. Lane Kiffin, as he has stated from the get-go, my request to stay with the team was denied by athletic director Keith Carter, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them so they can maintain a better level of high performance. All right. So I've heard quite a few different things about how it played out. All right. So one of my Ole Miss sources, if you will, told me that a position group just walked out on Lane Kiffin. All right. And it was on the defensive side of the football. And I do think it's important when it comes to college football teams that the teams really are segmented, right? You have the offense, and then you have the defense, and then you have the different position groups. And you got to remember, college football rosters are bigger. They're bigger than most high school rosters, and they're definitely bigger than the NFL rosters. So it is a very segmented thing. And then, of course, on top of that, college players spend more time with the strength and conditioning staff in many instances than they actually do the head coach. So whenever I hear this, well, the head coach didn't spend a whole lot of time with player X or backup center this person or that person. Well, yeah, it's a big team. Think about what all college football coaches have to do. They got to recruit. They got to do 50,000 media appearances. It's a hard job. I know, yeah, they have to live a life too and spend time with their families. But you saw it there yourself. The team vote was 9 in favor of Lane Kiffin and 3 in favor of Ole Miss. And this has been my take on this for so freaking long. If you were to just look at this objectively, and you are not an Ole Miss fan, and you are not an LSU fan, it makes zero sense that Lane Kiffin was not allowed a chance to coach the team that he got to the college football playoff. It makes no sense, other than my feelings were hurt. Well, Carter, what all these other national analysts keep saying is you can't let it happen while Lane recruits players from one school to the other. But we can't be doing this split locker room nonsense, these reconnaissance missions, when we all know so-and-so is going to the other school. Then why is Charlie Weiss and multiple now LSU staffers allowed to go back to Ole Miss and coach them in the playoff? If that was such a big deal, why is that the case that you're allowing them to do it, but you're not allowing Lane to do it? Oh, yeah, it's just because your feelings are hurt. And that's fine. We are rivals. The Magnolia Bowl is a real thing. Go to hell, Ole Miss. I understand that. But you have got to start looking at the people that are in the building through a business lens. If you just look at things in terms of strictly business, you will start understanding college football a lot better. Perfect example. I'm about to give you the absolute perfect example. The last coaching staff gets very heavily swayed negatively in terms of them not doing a good job. And a good bit of that is Brian Kelly. But look at the last coaching staff at LSU. Frank Wilson's from Louisiana, loves LSU. Brad Davis left his mentor, the guy that he owes a good chunk of his career to go back home to Baton Rouge and coach. We all know Joe Sloan's ties to the state of Louisiana. Cortez Hankton, okay, heavily tied to the state of Louisiana. If you're a patron, you know my recent positive run-in with Cortez Hankton. You could check it out for yourself in the Discord. Wasn't with Cortez himself. It was his wonderful father, who is also Cortez Hankton. We appreciate his support. And look, I've been critical of all those different coaches. But those guys wanted to make it work at LSU. They wanted to. They love LSU. They probably love LSU more than the new coaches that are coming in. But it's not about how much you love LSU. It's about, are you the best fit for the job at hand? Because I would have loved nothing more than a staff that was loaded with Louisiana natives. Loaded on both sides of the football to make it work. But it didn't. And this is where Ole Miss ran into their own selves. You have got to be kidding me. If you were to just put your emotions to the side, for you to not say that this once-in-a-generation thing happened to you. Not only did you get into the playoff, you're hosting a playoff game versus a not bad, but a group of 5 team. Of course I'm letting Lane Kiffin coach in the bowl game. And now, national reporters who, I don't know their intentions, but through their reporting, says that the team vote was 9 in favor of Lane staying and 3 in favor of him going. Now, why didn't they do a complete team vote? Is this actually true or not? I don't know. But the truth is, when I first came out and said, I'm because I was like Lane. I really was like Lane. I'm going to think that the players aren't going to care as much. I'm telling you right now. I still have all the text messages. Some of you have seen the screenshots. I haven't posted them publicly. But got a text from someone at Ole Miss, and they said, dude, you are wrong. Nobody here really wants him here anymore. But I'm telling you, when you really push everything to the side and you say to yourself, yo, we are in the stupid playoff. We are in the playoff. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we booting the man out who made this program into what it is now? Why are we doing that? It makes no sense. None. Zero, zip, zilch, nada. And not only were you going to coach him, LSU had agreed to pay the college football playoff bonuses. And they're still going to honor that. It makes no sense. And Ole Miss fans are going to regret it. Okay? There are a few things in life that I have been right about. It is that I am right about. I'm telling you right now. Okay? But it's not a mute point. It's a loud point. Because the narrative does not match what The Athletic reported. And then it's just this constant, and this is the thing I hate about this situation more than anything else. It's, well, why are Ole Miss fans so worried about LSU fans? And why are LSU fans still so worried about Ole Miss fans? Because, well, people are still pissed. I'm fine with people being frustrated about it, but it's this constant back and forth. Well, you're more concerned about us than you are about yourselves. Both sides are saying that right now. Okay? It just does not make any sense to me. It just honestly does not make any sense to me that Ole Miss did that very thing. Okay? I've heard the logic. I've heard it over and over again. Can't let this guy coach. Makes no sense. All right, next thing. I'm going to admit that I am definitely wrong about my earlier stance on a potential rule change in college football. And it's not just because someone that I know and care about quite a bit is someone that would benefit from this, but I don't like it in life when we neuter excellence. Okay? I just don't like it. I think there are times when there should be laws set in place to, I guess you could say, just to have rules, if you will, as far as NCAA eligibility is concerned. But I grew up wanting college athletes just to get 4 years of eligibility. That's how it's always been. That's what makes college football excellent. That's what makes college sports excellent. It allows you to really sink your teeth into the teams. It's a big problem that we have in all of sports. In professional sports, people become bigger fans of players when it should be teams. But whatever floats your boat. And that's the beauty of college athletics. If you only get 4 years of eligibility, guess what? You got to make those 4 years count. You just do. But I do think the NCAA should strongly consider 5 years to play 5. Now, why is that? Well, with the 4-year eligibility rule and the 4-game or less redshirt rule, it is hurting excellence. All right? If we were allowed 5 years of eligibility for everyone, including a guy like A.J. Halsey, I would venture off to say that A.J. Halsey would be coming back to LSU for his 5th season. It obviously depends on his draft grade. I think if he was a second-round pick lock, which I am not sure, he would probably go to the NFL. But there are no mocks that I have seen with A.J. Halsey in the first round because off-ball safeties just are not valued as much as a corner. And this is something that I tweeted out earlier. It's been passed around a little bit. And, the number one thing that I've gotten from saying that, hey, these are the 5 players at LSU that would benefit from an extra 5th year is, Carter, why did you include Mansour Delane into this? Mansour Delane is going to go to the NFL. He's a first-round pick. Why would he need a fifth year of eligibility? Well, just because a guy is going to the NFL, and smartly and rightfully so, doesn't mean that we should strip that young man of his rights of getting a rightful fifth year of eligibility. What if Mansour Delane versus Ole Miss tore his ACL? Well, he could potentially get a medical redshirt, but if he had done that, he would have already played 5 games, and he would have lost that final season, and he wouldn't have been able to have the same type of NFL draft grade as he does now, which is a clear, no doubt first-round draft grade. So that fifth year is very valuable to Mansour Delane. And I've gotten this message so often. Why does it matter to A.J. Halsey and Mansour Delane? Y'all, A.J. Halsey, Blake Baker would have gone to Lane Kiffin if A.J. Halsey had one more year of eligibility to say, this guy needs at least $1.5 million. That's how good he was. I would not mind him outside of the quarterback of the team to have made A.J. Halsey the highest paid player on this team. That's how good he was. If he had a fifth year of eligibility, that's what I would pay him, which is more than what he would probably make as an NFL rookie. And then, of course, Xavier Thomas isn't going to be a first-round pick. Barrion Brown is not going to be a first-round pick. Those guys are going to be day 3 picks, and Jack Pyburn is probably going to be a day 3 pick as well. All 3 of these guys are making more money if they have a fifth year of eligibility. We would obviously pay up for Pyburn and Thomas, and then, Barrion would probably walk and still earn himself a 6-figure payday if he was given the fifth year of eligibility. Now, all 5 of these guys played a lot as true freshmen. So by them playing more than 4 games, why are we hurting excellence? By having the redshirt rule and not giving these young men the chance to earn more money in their 5th season, we are rewarding mediocrity and hurting excellence. The hardest thing in college football to do, and it's not even close, is to play and succeed as a true freshman. It is really hard to do that. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care if you're obviously a transcendent talent like Patrick Peterson or DJ Pickett. It's still hard to do this at an extremely high level as a true freshman. Okay? And obviously, DJ Pickett's going to be a first-round pick in 3 years. But it's still not fair to him that freshmen that aren't as good as he is lose this extra year. And then on top of that, what about the guys that aren't excellent in their first season? And they're just a special teams role player, like Jack Pyburn. Jack Pyburn grew up wanting to just be a Florida Gator. That was his dream school. That's where his mom went. And obviously, I know Jack personally, and Jack wanted to make this happen. He wanted to make this dream happen with the Florida Gators. So what did he do? In his first season, he basically only played special teams, and it burned his first season. CJ Jim Coyley is someone else that I'm talking about here. A true freshman for LSU that played special teams nonstop, didn't really play much defense. He did what was right for the team. So why is it that as a special teamer, Jim Coyley loses a valuable year of eligibility, and a guy like Philip Wright, and I'm not just singling him out, there's plenty of other true freshmen you can point to, they get to preserve that extra year? It's nonsense. It's nonsense. So I've seen other people say, including Peter Burns, I tagged him here. The truth is, I'm not just saying this because it helps LSU. I have changed my tune on this. At first, I was very anti towards this. You get 4 years to make it work. But we do not need to reward quitters, which is what a lot of guys do when they want to preserve that red shirt. Okay? It's hard on a player. Okay? Let's go to DK. Have you seen Tulane fans crapping on LSU lately? Not worried about Tulane. It's funny because all of LSU is going to be cheering for Tulane to win. Okay. We say hi to Dwayne. We say hi to Brian, Justin. I want to shout out everybody in here. Pegasus, Tyler Townsend in the building, one of our many patrons. Good to see you. We'll have Preston Guy on here in just a moment. Okay. This has been a big discussion point today as well about the group of 5. And tomorrow's show will be more transfer portal related. There's a Texas linebacker that entered the portal that would obviously start and be our best linebacker if Whit Weeks didn't decide to come back. So we'll talk about him tomorrow. Okay. Let's talk about the group of 5. Group of 5 playoff slot. And look, a group of 5 team getting into the playoff hurts LSU because that's a slot that could go to LSU in the future. So imagine if instead of Notre Dame, it was us in that spot. And we had won 10 games in a row after losing 2 tough games versus A&M and Miami. We would be bitching about the group of 5, okay? And here's my take. The group of 5 should not get 2 playoff slots. It just simply should not happen unless both of those teams are undefeated. But I do think the college football playoff should keep a slot for every group of 5 team, or at least one group of 5 team in every college football playoff. First off, the college football playoff's job is to determine a national champion, right? And the mission statement of that is, well, we're putting the best teams into the field. Well, a group of 5 team, more often than not, is not one of the 12 best teams. All right. Boise State maybe last year, maybe TCU from yesteryear when they were in the Mountain West, whatever. But the group of 5 is also a unit, a team, if you will, that feeds into the current college football landscape. There are so many group of 5 players that are on these P4 rosters that the group of 5 could not retain simply because of money. It's just that simple. Group of 5s take a chance on a team or on a player, that's not highly recruited. And that group of 5 player goes to a P4 school and they succeed. We see it all the time. So why can't we just reward a team that in a group of teams in conferences that are already dealing with the toughest situation I would consider in all of sports, which is you getting poached year in and year out? I really do think it's a bad thing for those group of 5 teams. It's not a fact of the matter. It's a bad thing. One slot is not a lot. It's really not. It's one spot. So what is one spot? Well, it's less than 10% of the field. That's it. Less than 10%. Is that too much to ask? It's all I got to say. Is that too much to ask? When they're already punching up against a group of 4 schools, or the P4 schools, it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. So one slot to Tulane or James Madison or whoever, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, coming up next, the best Twitter account in all of college football. Power Hour Network listeners and viewers, you might be consuming this content with that crick in your back that you've been trying to get rid of for so long. Take this as your sign today to book your appointment with LabordTherapy.com. In the Lafayette region, there is no one that you will find that cares more about any different type of pain that you might have than the team at labordtherapy.com. Book today. Once again, that's LABORDE therapy.com, or you can visit one of their 5 locations all throughout the Lafayette region. All righty, Mr. Preston Guy joins us. Big thanks to our friends once again at Fortified Gulf Coast as well. The group of 4, I always say group of 4, I get them confused. The group of 5 deserves a college football playoff slot, yes or no?
Yeah, one spot guaranteed. Beyond that, earn it, brother. Earn it. I mean, I understand the way they drafted up the situation this year. It wasn't intentional. You would think, okay, well, I mean, we're going to give the 5 highest ranked conference champs. Well, turns out, the reality of that is, hey, sometimes the ACC is going to lay an egg on you. And yeah, you're going to get a very underqualified group of 5 team. So yeah, I would say just give one automatic bid to a G5 team. And outside of that, if they earned it, like say they're in the top 12 of the rankings, then you could go more. But I mean, I think clearly this year seeing James Madison in there is a joke. I will say this. One of the things to keep in mind with a playoff, the function of a playoff is to deem a champion, to crown a fair champion. And when you expand the field as wide as 12, and people lose sight of this, especially with the NCAA basketball tournament, because it's like basically all your postseason. But my argument's always been, look, if you're the, say there's, 38 at-large teams, the 39th team didn't deserve a chance to compete for a championship. My argument here is clearly Notre Dame or so whoever it might be, Vanderbilt, they didn't deserve enough to be on that stage. I will say this is the first time I wouldn't have thought we'd see Power 5 10-win teams with legit resumes getting left out. I'm not saying great resumes, but just legitimate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, these aren't the teams that, when you're talking about the best team in the country, nobody's naming one of these 2 teams.
No. I go back to, let's just say Vanderbilt's resume. All right. What would you say was Vanderbilt's best win this year?
Yeah, I remember seeing, I don't think they had a team that's currently ranked that they beat. Could be LSU. I don't know. Maybe Tennessee? Tennessee.
Yeah, it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
Texas, their best win is who? A&M.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a really good win, but you're 9-3.
9-3.
Right.
With ugly wins versus Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly comeback victory. And it was a miracle that they came back and beat Mississippi State. And it's just hard for me to hear out, well, Texas is better than Tulane. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, but they had 12 games to find their way in. Well, they scheduled Ohio State and they're getting penalized for it. Yeah, I'd hear that out if they would have blown out Kentucky and Mississippi State. If they look better, I'd go for it. Okay.
Right.
And that's why it's tough for me in this group of 4 argument or group of 5 argument. I just think one slot is deserving to them.
Right. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that so many LSU fans, and look, LSU fans could be toxic with the best of them. This is the hardest thing because you're the professional Twitter fighter. I don't think I've ever seen you lose a Twitter battle ever. Okay. I'm very biased because we're friends, but what really pains me is that you, I, and all the other LSU fans, we have given Notre Dame nothing but credit for being right about Brian Kelly. We have patted them on the back. We have said, guess what? All of us were wrong.
Right.
Cool. Just for them to be the single most insufferable fan base I can remember in the history of college football when it comes to a college football playoff slot. All right, Preston, I know you're my guest, but can I vent in front of you?
You may vent.
And 312 people watch. Okay. You didn't get into the playoff, but you're not in the conference. You You get to do your own silly, willy, goosey, I don't give a crap about the ACC affiliation BS. Woohoo. You beat Arkansas worse than any other SEC school. Good for you. But you don't get into the playoff. You're not in a conference. And then you bitch out and you don't want to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. And this is crazy to me. This is what drives me nuts. Is Preston, you're a marketing expert. You've worked in PR. You've done this. Which bowl game outside of the college football playoff bowl games do you think it's done the best job of marketing their bowl game and making them cool? Which one?
Pop-Tart Bowl.
Pop-Tart Bowl. There is not a single thing that I've enjoyed more than watching the Pop-Tart.
And look, Duke's Mayo. That's another good one.
Mayo.
They're so goofy and funny. It captures your attention. And in fact, I would argue Cheez-It Bowl is another one that's done a good job. And they have the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl too, as well, played in the same stadium. I think it's a little redundant and overkill, but I get it. It's like these goofy food brands that we all relate to. They get just so much extra value out of this. Like, what do you think ReliaQuest is getting out of the ReliaQuest Bowl?
Lockheed
You know what I mean? Like, I would argue you have to do something goofy to really capture people's attention and make it just a fun event. And that's what Pop-Tart Bowl has done. It needs to be a case study. Tommy Karam in your marketing class at LSU, Marketing 3401, okay? The GOAT, by the way.
Tommy Karam.
I ran into him the other day and I said, hey, can you talk to the governor for me, please? And he just laughed. Tommy Karam put Pop-Tart Bowl in like your marketing case studies. And he would usually give us some pretty fun case studies to look at for these marketing plans. Him and Kerry Solly was another guy in the business college who would give you fun stuff to look at. But yeah, man, I mean, that Pop-Tart Bowl is just marketing magic. And yes, if I were going to a bowl game, absolutely. But I'll say this, second option, if you're going to go to a crappy bowl game nobody's going to care about, might as well go to one that's 4 hours away, right?
What, Independence Bowl, Shreveport?
Oh, no, the Texas Bowl.
Oh, okay. No, that's right.
The one they're in, right? That's why the tickets sold out so quickly, because it's like, it's right there. You got a huge alumni base, and you're facing the hometown. You're playing Houston, so it's like, okay, at least, I'm not going to sit here and argue this is going to be must-see TV, but particular being that, almost certainly your quarterback next year won't be playing in this game. And, you're going to be looking at a few young pieces, but you're not going to see any coaching for the future, offensively coaching.
Right.
Just let it be what it is. Go 4 hours up the road, have some fun, eat some barbecue sauce. You know what I mean?
And Brian Kelly eats the rib. That was funny. The good thing about these smaller bowls is it humanizes these teams, right?
Well, what's the bigger bowl at this point? Don't say college football playoff bowls. Like, what's a big bowl?
I mean, the Rose Bowl.
That's a playoff. That's a playoff bowl game.
Oh, yeah. There's none.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it's playoffs or crappy bowl game. That's it. That's what the culture and that's what the administration has given us. It's like once you miss the playoffs, it doesn't matter. Just go to a crappy bowl game. Hopefully you have some fun and eat some Pop-Tarts while you're there.
But my main point is we gave Notre Dame fans all this credit just for all of them to say, thank God we're not in that lower than us Pop-Tart Bowl. And this is the shit I cannot stand, dude. I simply just cannot stand, especially in college football, this holier than thou mentality. And it lets me know that Notre Dame fans have not changed. Okay. And you have been one of those that out of all your Twitter L's, you publicly said, hey, Brian Driscoll, you were right.
Yeah, I did.
Notre Dame fans, you were right. Out of anyone, you were the most public about saying that you were right. I did it myself. But I am so sick of them, Preston. So sick of them. And I'm so glad they did not get in the playoffs. So freaking glad.
I feel you. And look, I'll say this. Did you know Notre Dame used to not compete in bowl games for a long time?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. In fact, they played like one in the 20s, right? But then for 50 years, they did not go to a bowl game until 1970. So that is part of that plays a factor here, right? In fact, I seem to remember a story of LSU going something like 8-2, 9-1, being very excited, and then Notre Dame came in and swooped in and went to a bowl game, and LSU ended up not getting a bowl game. I seem to remember a story. I don't have the details like that. It was like, 20 years before I was born, but there is a cultural thing there that, it's a program that historically has opted out of bowl games. I'll also say this. It does seem to me like, okay, so you get snubbed and you're going to take this holier than thou. You're really going to say, so just, you're not going to suck it up like everybody else in the country and go play your crappy bowl game and put on a show. I'm not nuts over it. I'm not mad over it. I'm just giving historical context and talking about it. I'm just grossly indifferent is how my personal emotions are.
You are, this is one thing though, that you will dig your heels in, like super pro LSU, because I hear quite a few LSU fans say, yeah, Cam Newton might've been better than Joe Burrow, but you're one of those guys that's like, no.
Absolutely not. I will not budge. Here's the thing.
I'll give you the floor, because for those that don't know, ESPN did the 2019 LSU thing that they're going to do for the end of eternity, where they rank LSU number 2 behind 2020
Right.
Alabama. It gets them a gazillion clicks. And then it gets into the Joe Burrow versus Cam Newton debate. But you are so pro Joe Burrow in this debate. Why?
Because historically speaking, most stats that are just gaudy in their nature become less impressive as you unpack them, right? You start to layer in context and you start to see, oh, okay, well, this is Caitlin Clark broke the NCAA scoring record, right? Well, let's unpack that. Her points per game, she averaged 12 points less points per game than Pete Maravich did.
Yeah.
Pete Maravich did it in 3 years instead of 4. Okay. Also worth noting, Pete Maravich did it without a 3-point line. And then there's the whole conversation about, well, okay, can we really say that someone in a women's league can break a men's league record? You know what I mean? Like, it is officiated differently, different defenses, different size ball. You know what I mean? It is, there are nuances that make a difference. Like, are we going to say someone in softball, for instance, broke the home run record because
No.
right. It's like, where do you draw the line? Well, because we're going to call it. I mean, there's still nuances and differences between the two. So anyways, point being, 2019, Joe Burrow, the more you unravel the context in which he did what he did, the more wild how impressive what he did becomes and what LSU did in 2019. For example, you look at it, that team scored more points than any other team in college football history. Okay. But look at the gauntlet. They played 7 top 10 teams. They played all right. And I'm going to try this off of memory. Okay. So if my numbers are slightly off, go check my Twitter and correct me, but they played the number 1, the number 3, the number 7, the number 10, and number 13 defense in college football that year. Defenses. They hung 42 points on them. 42 points per game. They played 5 of the final top 8. By the way, there's only 7 top 8 when you're number 1. There's only 7 others. So they played 5 of those 7 in the top 8. They beat them by 19.6 points per game. Sure, we look at the final scores. Well, Alabama came so close. It was a 1-score game, Preston. Look, Carter, I think we all know, if you actually watch football and you know ball, scoreboard watching can be very deceptive. The difference in a backdoor late touchdown and what was a blowout and you just added some late scores to cut the lead. Okay, you weren't actually in a position. Like, LSU was in firm control. LSU got the ball back, took a knee. You scored a touchdown with 1:30 remaining, an 85-yard blown coverage, right? With the game squarely in hand, right? And LSU decided to take a knee. A lot of teams, by the way, added backdoor late touchdowns on LSU, and LSU just responded with a kneel because it's like, we got the game. There was no team on the schedule that was going to stop Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Randy Moss's son, Thaddeus Moss. No one was stopping these guys. They were just going to score and score and score until they needed to stop scoring, and so when we compare them to other teams and then you start to layer in similar context, right? Everybody talks about 01 Miami. Everybody talks about them and how, well, Carter, Carter, did you know? Did you know? Did you know that if they hadn't scored a touchdown on offense, they would have still gone 8-4? Did you know that? Have you ever heard that stat? Has that been repeated 50,000 flipping times by every Yahoo on the internet who thinks they're so smart by regurgitating the same content that was put on Bleacher Report 2 years ago? Did you know that? Do you know what conference 01 Miami played in?
I played in the Atlantic Coastal Conference.
That's false. It's false. They played in the Big East.
Oh, that's right. No.
Yeah. It's so old and dead, you forgot it existed. That's how shitty the Big East was, okay?
A basketball conference.
Yeah, look, here's the deal. That stat on its face, you start to question, wait a second, who did they play that they could beat these teams without scoring on offensive touchdown? Oh, wait. The schedule, Carter, they didn't beat a single team that finished in the top 8.
That's crazy.
They didn't beat a single team. But Preston, their third string running back, went on to be a Hall of Famer. What did he do to help the team win? What did Willis McGahee do as a third string running back? He was too young. He wasn't there yet. He had not arrived. Great players can be on teams and not be there yet. It happens all the flipping time where guys are just not that guy yet, right? Sure, the name he went on, but you're not, and I'm sorry, future Hall of Famers on the bench as freshmen, they don't actually help you win football games. You know what does? How about a quarterback with a 6,000-yard season? You know how many quarterbacks in FCS have done it? One. It's Joseph Lee Burrow. You know how many quarterbacks have 65 total touchdowns in a season? One. It's Joseph Lee Burrow. You know how many quarterbacks have 7 wins over top 10 teams? One. It's Joseph Lee Burrow. The same guy did it all in one season. But Preston, he had teammates to help him. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the deal, man. I mean, basically what you're saying is, well, running quarterbacks are better because they do it on their own. I understand what Cam Newton did with his legs. He's the second best player I've ever seen. I'm not, in his Heisman moment, he dragged Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson to the end zone. That back to the next 2 Bednarik Award winners. I'm not bashing him, but Carter, let's take this as an NFL for an example, right? Where it's the absurdity of this example becomes a little more apparent. You have a team that's going 0-16, right? And you have no offensive line, no good receivers. You stink. You get one quarterback to help you win as many games as possible this year and this year only. You don't get to build around him for the future. Okay. You get prime Cam Newton or you get prime Tom Brady. Which one are you taking?
I'm taking Cam.
And it's an obvious pick. I agree. Prime Cam Newton on a crappy team elevates good to or crappy to good. You know, it helps. He's more of a one-man army. That's not to say, though, that Cam Newton is a better NFL quarterback than Tom Brady. That's an absurd argument. No one would ever make that. Why do we make this same argument for Cam Newton versus Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow won the Heisman by the largest margin in Heisman history. Do you know the guy who came in third that year had 50 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he didn't come close? Joe Burrow still won by the largest margin ever. Largest margin ever. That's because in the moment we were remembering, oh my God, he had all these big wins. Look at his numbers. Oh my God. Now we're getting numb to it. It's been around for a while. Look, guys, if you have to ask, the answer is no. And it will always be no until someone comes and usurps the GOAT.
It's also strange. This is what I always say, because I used to be in the Cam Newton, Joe Burrow thing is close. And I'm probably still closer to that than you are, and part of it also could be is that I was there in person when Cam Newton did that, and I was right on the field when Ontario McCaleb housed versus LSU to end that game. But Joe Burrow just did not have a mediocre game. He didn't have a mid game. He was perfect. He had a perfect season. I don't think people understand how hard that is to do at the quarterback position. I don't care.
He did not have a bad game. He was perfect all season. It was flawless. It was in fact, I said when I wrote my column in 2019 about his legacy, What is his Heisman moment? Well, a lot of people point to Georgia and SEC championship. I'm not mad at that. I argue his Heisman moment was every moment he took the field.
Yeah, it really was. Like,
I mean, what was his worst game? The one where he threw for 293? That was his season low. 293 was his season low. The game where he went 27 of 30 against Northwestern State? Really? 90% completion with 3 touchdowns? And we're going to say that's his worst? Really? I mean, like, it's unfathomable how elite he was for an entire season. That's why people ask me who was better, Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. It's just not close. I love Jaden. I beat on my chest that he deserves the Heisman 100. It's not close. Jaden had plenty of moments where he was dismal. Okay. Plenty of them. First half against Arkansas, Florida State. He deserved the award. And I beat on my chest. And I used all
the only
but the objective truth is it's not close.
Yeah. The only thing I'll push back on is those were his only 2 bad moments in my mind. And the final throw that should have sealed it versus Ole Miss. But other than that
got hurt against Alabama. I mean,
yeah, and that's it. I mean, but that's out of his control basically. But to your point, I'm with you on the Joe Burrow thing, and it's crazy because they say, well, it's Cam Newton's rushing when in the big games Joe Burrow was an amazing runner.
Yeah,
like he had so many big runs, and it's strange. Like he only had 2 games under 300 yards passing. It was the Florida game you mentioned where it was like 290, and that was one of his best rushing games. And I think he threw for, I think it was 260 versus Georgia Southern in that first game, but he threw like 6 touchdowns.
Carter, no one had the ball with a chance to tie the game in the second half.
Crazy. It's crazy. And
maybe once tie the game, but not take the lead is the term. I'm sorry, I don't want to misspeak. They played 7 top 10 teams.
And something else, and we'll get into a lane question here because people want to talk about the now and not the past. But to your point about the Alabama game, the biggest misconception about 2019 LSU was that the Alabama game was close. They converted so many miraculous 4th downs.
Correct. Punt return that was freaky.
Yes.
Blown coverages. It was fluky that it was that close.
And then Ed Orgeron had the worst 4th and 1 punt decision I could remember in that third quarter, where LSU was driving to make it a 4 touchdown game, and Orgeron punted, and that allowed Alabama to get back into it. Joe is the best college football player I've ever seen, and it's just hard for me when you do this greatest team versus this greatest team when the guy who did not play a below average game for the entire season is on my team, is on the team that I have. And then you get into all the other things, right? Because, we could talk all we want about the Miami defense. I know that number 9 is getting 60 snaps a game minimum, and he's going to make some shit happen with it. And you're probably not going to win.
Right.
So it's always fun to talk about that, especially you, since you've done so many statistical deep dives. Before we skedaddle here, your biggest takeaway from the last 24 hours of Lane Kiffin?
Last 24 hours of Lane Kiffin. I'm trying to think what you're referring to.
Or just anything. Anything.
The man works. He is at every morning, 4:30 a.m., posting some sort of picture from him at LSU doing something. So it's definitely a different, I'll say this, culturally, this is just the polar opposite of Brian Kelly. You went from the boring politician who, questionable as to how hard he's working to build this team to a younger, high energy guy, kind of crazy, kind of funny, who leans in, who has that LSU fan base energy and just feeds off of it. It perpetuates it. I can't wait to see what it's like once Tiger Stadium actually gets rocking and rolling, because that's where the culture of LSU comes together. But certainly it does seem like a culture fit made in heaven. But it's been a quiet 24 hours news cycle, unless you're thinking of something I'm not. I mean, other than guys entering the portal.
What I led the show with, it's actually stuff not LSU related, to be fair. So Chambliss leaves open the door.
Yes.
Uh,
I mean, right. That's Ole Miss, though.
yeah. So is that your guy? If the waiver is cleared,
There are a lot of big potential names. Obviously, that would fit the bill of like, hey, you get a 1-year guy to come in. He's familiar with Kiffin's system. There would be no learning curve. It's plug and play. It's you go from liability at quarterback to a guy who can put you in position to compete for a championship day one, right? There's some concerns with Trinidad Chambliss. I think his downfield passing leaves something to be desired. I think he has some accuracy issues here and there, but I mean, he's a dynamic athlete and he would have 1 year. The other cool thing about bringing in a 1-year guy, it's not going to scare away, a bunch of touted guys. Because you need 3 quarterbacks in this portal, right? You need 3 because I don't think Van Buren's staying. Colin Hurley's already gone. You need 3 bodies, right? And it's tough to convince 3 portal guys, especially touted guys like DJ Lagway, who's been a starter. Are you going to be able to say, hey, man, be humble, take a step back, sit back, learn, and we'll get you in there next year when he's already been a starter for 2 or a season and a half? It's gonna be a tough sell, but probably what he ultimately needs, if we're being honest. And I would love a guy like Lagway. Has all the tools, and I think you can improve decision making with an improved system. So I like him. Bryce Underwood. It'd be interesting. He certainly still has the physical tools in place. I do think it's very obvious that he needs a better system and he needs some time to learn, right? But very few true freshmen are ready to plug and play and go compete at a high level. Who's the guy from NC State? He's worth keeping an eye out. He hasn't declared yet. Yeah. Sorbet at Cincinnati. He'd be a really is it Sorsby? Did I say it wrong?
Sorsby.
Sorsby. I'm sorry. Sorsby. I don't have the names in front of me. I'm just going.
No, you're fine.
Sorsby from Cincinnati. He'd be a really good fit. He might be my number 1 if we're being honest. He's really good. There's definitely a few guys out there that I wouldn't mind, but here you need more than one, right? Oh boy, the showdown.
No, the only reason I asked you to be on here, I've obviously blown you up, said what I've said about you being the best Twitter follow, is you call me out publicly on Twitter about our fantasy matchup.
I do, yeah.
I woke up to notifications galore about this. There was 1 like on it.
I was about to say, I don't think it really popped off that much. No,
so, I don't know why they faded these names here, but who wins this matchup? Like, you're projected.
Go to my bench real quick. I want to show something very controversial.
Oh, what is that?
Look at the first
dude, you got Joey B sitting on the bench. You can't wax poetic.
I know
about Joey B.
Well, I haven't made a decision yet. I got to see.
Now I hope because I'm in so many. I'm sad because I'm a sicko. I play a gazillion fantasy leagues. I do best ball. Shout out Fast Draft Fantasy. But I had another losing season doing best ball. And so I'm already depressed. And I'm like, okay, if I win this league, it is what it is. But now, dude, I've never been more fired up to win a fantasy matchup than this.
You get money. If you win this game, you win money. You get runner-up money.
Oh, I do?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how much. It's like $100 or something like that. But you get fantasy. You get money. You win if you win this game.
Dude, you deserve every last bit of criticism, and you're going with Herbie.
Well, look who he's playing. The 32nd ranked defense. Dallas Cowboys.
But you could have it's destiny, dude, that you should start Joe Burrow in this game because you're going up against my fantasy QB and Trevor Lawrence. We're just talking about.
Look here, you son of a bitch. I have been playing fantasy psyops for decades, and I know when someone's trying to get in your head and pressure you into a boneheaded decision. You're not going to get one over me. This is the first time someone's done it publicly in front of thousands of people, but I know your game. I know your sleazy, your shady fucking game you're doing here, Carter. It's not going to work.
Joe Burrow just had the worst game of his life.
Absolutely, he did.
Come back with the 500 spot, man. I
I got to think about it. I'm going to pull.
I swear to you, you were the one that pointed this out. I didn't even notice it. I was just going to point it up as a joke. But you're the one that brings up the fact that you have Joe Burrow sitting on the bench.
I know.
Chat, please.
I need to pray on it. I need roast me, chat. Roast away. But dude, I mean, look.
You can't.
Look. What's Joe Burrow playing for at this point? He's probably playing to not tear his Achilles. Okay. And the Miami's defense is trending up, and Dallas Cowboys give up the most points to fantasy quarterbacks of any team in the league. It's like, and it's still a neck and neck decision here, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to pull Lane Kiffin. Let me call Pete Carroll and see what he says.
God bless America, dude. Now, dude, it's destiny that CB is going to get this done. You know, I don't really like to see him a whole hell of a lot.
I'll tell you what, if Joe Burrow's on the bench and his performance is the difference between winning and losing that game, I'll roast myself. You can be commissioner next year if that happens.
No, you got it. I'm not responsible. Happy fatherhood, Preston. You do a great job.
Appreciate it, man.
Make sure you go check him out. P Guy 77. Yeah, thank goodness you're not P Guy 67.
Oh God, dude. How about that women's basketball clip
dude? It was
today?
so good. So good.
It's so funny.
I know it's annoying, and there's a time and place for it, such as you shouldn't be the college football playoff chair making jokes about this with millions.
Yeah, that was tacky. That was tacky.
And Hunter Yurachek somehow made himself more likable. Trust me, there's nobody that knows more about how much Yurachek is hated than my cell phone. But it is so good to see the kids just getting it, baby. 6'7". You gotta love it, man. Preston Guy, thank you so much. Appreciate your friendship, and I'm looking forward to our future oyster dinner, man.
Yeah, I still owe you one, but you just never come to Baton Rouge, or you'll come to Baton Rouge, you'll text me, and then like have nothing to follow up on that. You're like, oh, he's having a baby. Let's leave him alone. Actually,
yeah, that's what I did last time. So what you didn't know was, so I texted you and I said, "What are you doing Monday?" And you were thinking it was a guest appearance, and I was going to say, "Hey, let's go have lunch. I'm in town." But I decided against it because for my funeral weekend for my aunt, who was essentially one of my grandmothers, they wanted to have a luncheon, so it wouldn't have worked out anyway. But I appreciate your friendship, appreciate all of it, and make sure you check them out. P Guy 77. We'll talk soon, brother.
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Preston Guy. All right, we'll do this before we skedaddle. I failed to do this yesterday. It is everybody's favorite segment on the planet Earth. What did Lane Kiffin tweet today? We got to go to the replies as well. Okay. Chris Phillips, former PHL guest. He's been on with us, I think, 3 times. Thinking we should do a hot yoga class Friday in Oxford. Lane Kiffin, do you have any suggestions? He said 432. This is the same yoga studio that trashed Lane Kiffin. And what does Lane do? He takes the high road. Okay, there's something going on here with the thermostat.
All right. We're going minus 79 degrees. Come on.
You're going?
You're going.
Minus 79?
Woo!
In theory, I am doing homeschool. Because you just asked what the C means. What's it mean?
Citrus.
Celsius.
So you asked the kid, what does the C mean on the thermostat? And Cookie said citrus. I love it. Lane Kiffin homeschooling the nephew here. We keep it going. Official Lane Train shirts. I need to cop me one of these. All right. Go, Shay, talking about Lane Kiffin's recruiting. Keep it moving. Everything Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin retweets this. I was sent these images from the 247 message board. I wanted to share, spread the word for this family. It's a message about a kid needing a bone marrow transplant. I got a retweet. Even if it's a Ole Miss thing, Lane did it. Edna Carr celebrating back-to-back state championship victories. There we go. Oh, they had a full parade. It's a parade inside my city. Yeah. iComedies says that Preston is right to start Justin Herbert. Okay. Let's keep it going. Lane retweeting a Mike the Tiger situation. And then here's Lane retweeting the 6-7.
Take me back decades to my youth.
Great call by Lynn Rollins. Now, this was interesting. All things go. Imagine if Lane started using the Boosie riding gif every time he landed a recruit. So Jay Johnson is the tiger. Ed Orgeron is hold that tiger. BK is the pat to the boot. And what if Lane Kiffin's was this? And Kiffin said, I'll think about it. I love it. Lane Kiffin retweeting Devin White. Love it. And this is what Preston was talking about. Lane Kiffin being in the building at 5 in the morning. This is 4:39 in the morning. Okay. What else did Lane tweet today? We referenced this a little bit earlier, that Dabo quote that did not age well. And then Lane 253 of his motivational book. You have no idea how many versions of yourself you've already shed. How many beliefs once so tightly held were unwound with new evidence. I'll retweet this as well. Lane Kiffin. Here's the start to the day. A great day of LSU football. Thank you, Todd Graves. I don't know if that's a letter or whatever. And there's Knox Kiffin throwing the ball. Knox working with QB country, some QB developers. Knox with Larry Rudolph. I don't know Larry. Okay, he's part of QB country as well. Before 2025 ends, I want you to know it is time to let go of people who have let go of you. Now, I'm struggling with that as well. Lane right there praying for Patrick Mahomes, who we also beat in the Texas Bowl. How about that? And Lane Kiffin retweeting the DJ Lagway post from yesterday. Very interesting. Lane got a lot of swag here from Drake. Drizzy, are you a Drake or a Kendrick Lamar fan, chat? Jackson Dart is the only NFL QB in history with 1,800 passing yards, 400 rushing yards, and 20 total TDs in his first 9 starts. Crazy. So there you go. What did Lane tweet today? Sourdough, what's good? Oh, okay. Let's go to Chance. You never got back to the Marshall Faulk interview. You're right. Okay, so let's go to that. And I'll play the clip. This is via Jacques Doucet. I don't think Jacques cares if I share this, posted this on Twitter. And we'll get on this. In the next 5 minutes, I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep this party moving.
Frank Wilson, you know him well. You guys
know Frank very well.
You guys are born in the same year. Both
played against each other. We've known each other since, we competed against each other forever.
Yeah. What do you see out of him? He's a legend that's recruited a lot of big time, the Leonard Fournettes and whatnot of the world.
Man, he's done so much for this state when it comes to sports and helping kids, and New Orleans. A lot of kids in the New Orleans area. Frank has not just given them an opportunity to maybe come to LSU and play, or when he was at other schools, but he's really helped a lot of them become young men, and he's been kind of that big brother, even father figure at a time. He's just rich in the history of football here in the state, and a guy that I'm happy to call a friend. And I know, I'm gonna tell you this, him getting to be interim head coach, like that's a dream. That meant so much to him, and I don't know if he's staying on the staff or not. I don't know what happens, but I hope he does, because it's it might be one of the smartest moves that Lane could make, keeping him, because of what he means to this town, to this state, and to that institution.
Wow. It's good to have an endorsement from Marshall Faulk, I think. Like,
I
that could
don't
mean a
know.
lot.
I don't know if it matters, but I'm just saying, like, if I could have him on my staff, I would.
So the great Marshall Faulk says, I want Frank Wilson on staff. Or he would recommend Lane keeping Frank Wilson on staff. Well, once again, it's Lane's decision. And it's Frank's decision as well. Why not Frank Wilson go coach at Southern? He actually would have been a good fit for the head coach job there. But Marshall's a great fit as well. I'm a big Marshall Faulk fan. It's interesting to me that all data supports that more often than not, the school and the brand is going to recruit itself more than any individual recruiter. Okay. You look at Brian Kelly and the success he had at LSU, and Brian Kelly had success at LSU. It was his first recruiting class that ended up being his best. He had nothing to do with that. Will Campbell still signed to LSU. Emory Jones still signed to LSU. Now, it helped that the offensive line coach was retained from the last staff, but you get the point. It's very interesting. But yeah, if I had a choice, I would keep Frank on the staff, but it's just not. I don't think it's the end of the world if they decide to go elsewhere. All right. So let's go to Pegasus. And I do want to point this out. There is an old PHL stream. We have done a gazillion of these. A gazillion. But you can, I have brought this up to Blake that I had a dream many moons ago that the starting quarterback, and I've mentioned Aiden Childs a few times, that there will be a QB desperate team in the SEC that'll want Aiden Childs. And I almost called this to a T. He is nowhere close to being good enough to being an NFL prospect this year. I said this before the season. And he's also too good for Michigan State, where at Michigan State, he's okay. He's not elite. And that he's going to be in the SEC. I honestly thought he was going to be a little bit better than what he was at Michigan State, but that was just kind of a mess. But I still think Aiden Childs. I still believe that dream that he will be an LSU Tiger. And notice what Preston Guy said. LSU is going to need to bring in no less than 2 quarterbacks from the transfer portal. And there is a real opportunity for there to not be a scholarship quarterback returning to this team at all. That would be the dream hire. Henderson, get a package deal. Thanos comes alongside him. Thanos was just in Louisiana for the state championship game. Carr versus St. Aug. So I don't know. I do not know. All right, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central. Big thanks to Preston Guy, our guest from this evening. No supers tonight. It's all good. As long as you hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell. We'll talk to you soon. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Tonight we are doing, I don't know what we're doing. Let's go.